The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Alright, everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast for this week. As always, I am your host, JD, and as always is here my best friend, Kyle.
It's not as always. You sometimes forget to have me on the show.
I don't forget. It's deliberate.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Kyle, you know I secretly hate you, right?
I'm Kyle, and JD secretly hates me.
There you go. Now I got the story straight. So, for this week's show, we're going to be talking about an old cartoon because I recently rewatched it for the I don't know how manyth time. We're going to be talking about the 1994 epic that was the Critic.
That was marvelous.
Thank you. But yeah, so Kyle and I really like the Critic, an old show from the mid-90s that was canceled after 2 seasons.
It started on ABC.
Yeah,
and
so
then it started on Fox.
yeah, so yeah, the Critic had a bit of a troubled history. Because yeah, in '94 it started on ABC, and then in '95 it got moved over to Fox, and they made several jokes about it. Then it got canceled again, and then like 5 or 6 years later, in like 2001, I think, they brought it back as like a series of like flash animated web episodes, and they were all kind of terrible.
I remember watching a couple of them, but I don't remember them.
Right. But yeah, so the Critic, for anyone that hasn't seen it, basically, stars Jon Lovitz as a film critic on TV, and he's, bald and fat and kind of schlubby. But just him dealing with his friends and family and life in New York in the mid-90s, and movie references and 90s references are galore. Is that a pretty apt explanation of the show, Kyle?
Sounds about right.
All right, rad. So Kyle, why do you like this show?
I like this show because of Jon Lovitz.
Yeah.
Jon Lovitz is one of my favorites, and he's in here, and he's the best.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I think Jon Lovitz is a pretty good reason to like this show. I mean, he's the star of the show, and you and I were talking before the show. I do like that he's able to poke fun at himself throughout the show, where they just make references to the actor Jon Lovitz in their own universe.
Yeah. And
it's either he's like saying how either how awful he is or how like overly amazing he is. It kind of goes back and forth on that.
It's both true though.
Right. He's beloved character actor.
I like it because a lot of the humor is Family Guy didn't exist around this time, so it has very non sequitur.
Yeah, it is. It's
comedian.
A lot of there's a lot of cutaways, kind of like modern Family Guy, but this like predates Family Guy by about 5 years. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Family Guy got a little influence from it. In that
maybe
regard.
Some of their old people.
Yeah, maybe. Speaking of people on this show, I was watching through the credits of this, and I mean, I know that what are their names? Al Jean and Mike Reese were writers and showrunners on The Simpsons for a couple seasons, and they're the ones that created the show. But Brad Bird and Judd Apatow also were like creative producers on this show.
That's kind of weird.
It
I
is-
didn't know that one.
Yeah, it's really weird. I know Brad Bird, I think, was on for the entirety of the show. I think Judd Apatow was just on the first season because I didn't see his name in the second season credits. I always thought that was kind of interesting to have people like that working on a show like this. So it's kind of interesting that the Critic kind of goes in, has different phases depending on what network it was on. Because the art style from the first to the second season kind of changes a little bit. It's a lot more softer. A character's a little more caricaturesque, I guess.
I would just call it friendlier.
Yeah, that's probably a better word for it.
One's more, I don't want to call it grittier, but it's just kind of normal, and then the other one's kind of just almost child-friendly in a way.
Yeah, like in the second season, Jay, it's like his eyes get bigger, his pupils get bigger, his dimensions change a little bit.
It's just weird because it's like you would expect the first one to be the one that appeared on Fox and the second one to be on ABC, but it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that really pisses me off about this is that they did the crossover episode with The Simpsons. And it's one of the absolute funniest episodes. And Matt Groening is such a piece of shit. He wanted his name taken off of that episode because he wanted nothing to do with it, all this stuff.
But wasn't it forced on him by Fox?
No. I don't want to say that it was forced on him. But yeah, he was all pissed off. He didn't want to do it. Had nothing to do it. Even on the DVDs, which happened like way later, he did all the commentaries on every episode except that one. Like, he was so venomously mad about it, but then he goes on and does a crossover with, and I think that's the reason he doesn't like crossovers. But then he does one with Futurama and then Family Guy.
Yeah, we should just do an episode one of these days of like the Simpsons crossover episodes.
There's not that many, man.
Exactly. It'd be like a 10-minute episode. I'd basically be shitting on the Family Guy crossover for the entire hour. But
it's the same beer.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I feel like when I rewatched this over the last couple days, this show is really dated.
Oh yeah,
it is just drenched in 90s references to like celebrities and politicians, and
it's dated by the fucking logo. It has the Twin Towers there.
Also that. I mean, there's a lot of references to like classic movies that like, you know, is very deep in pop culture now, even nowadays. But there's a lot of the time stuff. So there's there's a couple pokes at like George or Bill Clinton being the president, and you know, actors who were more popular back in the 90s who have kind of faded into obscurity nowadays, or just aren't nearly at the height they were back then. And then there's like a lot of references to people that like I don't get. I had to go look up. Like one that I was reminded of is that there's a bit where they're he's reviewing Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah.
And they're being attacked by a 100-foot Ed Koch. And I don't know who Ed Koch is. I think he's a politician or something, but I don't know who that is. And yeah, that's another thing where because the show revolves around, you know, John Lovett's character Jay Sherman having a movie review show. They'll review like made up movies, so there's like they're mostly, a lot of them are sequels to franchise movies, but it's kind of funny that they review Jurassic Park 2 and Ghostbusters 3, and they actually end up making those movies at some point.
Well, that's what I like about the show. It was so cynical, and it actually had stuff come to fruition.
Right. Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah, this show is very cynical about pop culture and Hollywood. I mean, his catchphrase for every movie is "it stinks."
I said that whole speech.
Yeah, there's a whole episode where he gets like canceled or something. I can't remember if he gets canceled or if he quits. He quits for some reason. So he gets a job teaching English to cab drivers on TV at like 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, he just uses it to have a speech about if you stop going to bad movies, they'll stop making bad movies.
I haven't watched it in a while, but I think the context was they wanted him to promote cigarettes or something on his show.
That's one episode.
Chewing tobacco, and he quit.
And then Rex Reed took his job.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's another thing. They've got... because this show's about film criticism, they got a lot of other film critics of the... Because it's funny, because they have actual Gene Shalit on there, actual Rex Reed, Siskel and Ebert were both on there, which it makes me really sad watching the episode about Siskel and Ebert, knowing both of them are dead now.
Are they? Damn.
Oh yeah,
I knew one of them was.
Siskel died a couple of years after. I think maybe like a year after that episode of them.
Oh damn!
And then Ebert died. I think Ebert died a couple of years ago, like I think 2013, I want to say. Something like that.
The other one stroked out.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of depressing knowing both of those guys are dead now. That's a good episode though.
This is one of those shows where it would be incredibly hard to bring back. It would be almost impossible because 2 of the main characters are dead too. His boss and his assistant.
Oh yeah, that's right. They are.
They're both dead, so that would be hard.
Yeah.
And then just what we're doing right now kind of shows that the show itself is dated, because anybody can jump on a fucking microphone and critique stuff.
Exactly.
Anymore.
And I feel like if they were going to bring him back, they would almost do it in a way where it's like commenting on that kind of stuff, where Jay would like ended up having to make a YouTube channel or something, and it would just be very like technology focused and, making jokes about that. And it's like, I don't want to see that.
I feel like it would be even more cynical than it was now.
I mean, probably. And I'm sure John Lovitz would be all over that if they asked him to, but I just wish that there was like another season or 2 back when the show was still being made.
Yeah, because it only lasted for like 2 seasons.
It's 2 seasons.
Like 20 episodes.
Yeah, because I think there's like 12 episodes in the first season, 10 in the second, and then however many of those Flash cartoons they made. So I was saying earlier that the Critic kind of has like 3 different stages. So I think like the ABC series, I think was a lot of just finding what works, introducing different characters here and there, and just getting the world established. But then when they move over to Fox, they introduce a girlfriend for Jay, because like the whole first season you see him go out with a number strike out with any number of girls.
His ex-wife.
There's an actor. There's a whole episode that's based on Misery from Stephen King's Misery. Buy my book.
There, you squeezed it in.
There you go.
Happy?
Yes, I am. It's one of the best jokes of that episode. But then, like in the second season, they introduce a consistent love interest for him, and that kind of carries throughout the whole season. And then, obviously, in the web one, I tried watching the webisodes for the first time today, and I got through like 3 of them, and I'm like, nah, I'm done. I can't do this.
It was like early internet Flash.
Oh,
it's really bad.
It's not so much the animation is really bad because it's really early Flash, so it's very crude. But I just didn't like the new format that they brought on, because it's like half of it is him kind of reviewing current movies. So, like he makes a reference to the first X-Men movie, and then he like makes a reference to the Pokemon 2000. And the other half is him trying to go out with his new makeup assistant, who is just some blonde chick now. So I guess Alice is out of the picture, and all the other characters are out of the picture. So it's just those two now.
That was probably like their last like hurrah, trying to get to bring it back, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah,
like I'm guessing that's what the purpose of that was, because that was like done in the 2000s.
Yeah, like early, like 2001, I think. And I think that lasted for like 10 episodes, maybe, if that. But yeah, the webisodes I could not get through, because there's like a scene where like he just literally just talks to Pikachu, and I'm like, this is too silly. I can't do this. And then like the whole part of him trying, like constantly hitting on the new makeup assistant and trying to get him to go out with him, get her to go out with him. It's just like, this doesn't feel right.
So if the original series didn't exist, would you like the webisodes?
Probably not. I probably wouldn't watch them if there wasn't the original series, to go off of. So
fair enough.
But yeah, you can watch the first 2 seasons and kind of just be happy with that. I mean, I've got the box set that one of our frequent listener supporter of mine, Matt, sent me the box set for Christmas one year. So I've got all the episodes and the webisodes in a box, so that's cool.
I don't know if that's worth anything anymore.
I don't know.
No, it doesn't look like it. It was out of print for a while, and it was pretty up there, but
yeah,
seeing it for like $7 on eBay,
that's all right. I still enjoy having that on DVD, even though I watched all the episodes on YouTube, because they're all up there.
Really wish I could find an animation sub of this fucking show.
That'd be kind of cool.
I love it. It's the best.
Yeah.
But as far as, I mean, every character on this show was great. I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
his parents.
Yeah, every character on this show like had their own quirk and had some aspect they could like. Yes, his parents were probably one of the better ones. Like, I love his crazy dad. And his dad is like, they like the first time he's introduced, he said they have a stroke, but then they're like, no, that's just what we tell people to explain his kind of personality.
Eccentricities.
He's very eccentric. Which I love the episode in the second season when they explained that the reason he's like that is because he had his first drink at his wedding, and that just kind of ruined his life.
Yeah.
Became crazy after that.
Just like him arguing with the owl.
See, that's another reference. Yeah, there's that whole episode where they're making a home improvement reference where the dad goes out into the backyard to the fence like Tim Allen would and talking to this neighbor he thinks he's talking to, but it's just an owl on a post.
With a bunch of various animals.
Yeah. So
what'd he say? He said, ribbit, ribbit.
And then she goes rivets on a construction site.
Yeah. Crazy glue is crazy.
So I love his dad. His dad's the best. I like, Jay himself is a pretty good character. I can deal with cynical, snarky characters if they're done right. And I think they rate his character sympathetic enough.
You want him to win.
You do. They constantly say that like his show is like low in the ratings and how he like doesn't measure up to the other film critics and stuff, making constant jokes about his weight, and his boss thinks he's gay for the entirety of the show, even though that joke kind of wears thin after a while.
Keep saying I'm not gay.
And Lord knows John Lovitz has a myriad of catchphrases in this show.
Yeah.
Just like, at least like I could name 10 off the top of my head probably, but
whoa. It's not.
Let's not go there. I like that they introduced Alice in the second season. I thought she was a good fit for the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of just nice to have like that kind of consistent love interest for him, because I think the whole trying to find someone in the first season, that was interesting for a while, but having someone more consistent, I think was good for the show's story.
Yes.
Then there's his friend, the actor, who's Australian. He's Crocodile Gandhi.
Love that.
So stupid. Which I kind of noticed he wasn't around as much in the second season.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is weird because they added him to the intro, but he's like not around as much. So I thought that was weird. So do you like the art change between the first and second season? Because I know that's pretty divisive for a lot of people.
It's not too distracting.
Mm-hmm.
He's cuter, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fine. I like it.
Yeah. Because I don't feel like it affected too many of the characters. The only one that I like noticed drastically enough was his sister. Because she had like a small head and like really kind of buggy eyes, but they kind of fixed it with the new art style.
Oh yeah, and he goes to a party dressed up as Homer Simpson.
Yeah, because it's like at that time. Because I feel like when they went over to Fox, they made a lot of jabs at being moved over from ABC and how they're on Fox now.
Yeah,
like they make a lot of jabs at the Fox network.
This was a great show. I love it.
Yeah, it was, and it's in that club of shows that was, I think, too good for its time. Like I lump it kind of in with like how Freakazoid was only around for 2 seasons, and I think if it had the chance to find a better audience or was made at a different time, maybe it would have done better. But it's sad that this show ended after only 2 seasons.
And then the Simpsons stole a joke from this.
Did they?
Yeah.
What'd they do?
The Simpsons stole a joke. It was the alien scene in the credits. Or, yeah. The theme song or whatever, where
right.
he kisses her. They actually redid that. It was like, wow.
That's sad.
Recycling. Oh, and I do like all their title cards or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll be right, Bark.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time they like have to cut the show, there's just like a fucking "we'll be right back" graphic, and it's just always different every time.
I love that.
Yeah. And like there's a lot of similarities between this and The Simpsons. Not just, and I kind of maybe chalked it up to two of the 2 creators being from The Simpsons, but like every episode, the intro is always different because he always wakes up to a phone call, and the phone call is always different every episode.
Yeah.
He gets a call from Satan once. It's like just actual Satan sometimes. Or what the fuck was God, I can't remember. It was like someone's interviewing for a job, and he just leans over and he's like, "You're Satan, aren't you?" And he just transports back into Satan.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think I was like in the first season. I can't remember the context for that joke. But yeah, there's that. And especially when they move over to Fox, they make a lot of jabs at Fox, and there's references to The Simpsons. Because, yeah, he and Alice dress up as Homer and Marge for an episode. He's the balding gay man.
Yeah.
He wins best costume.
Oh, yeah. It was the when he takes his son to karate. They're like pairing him up.
Yeah.
It's like, and you are with Satoshi, the Eater of Souls.
This giant man just destroys him.
Yeah. And then he gets a cookie puss.
Cookie puss. I've never had a cookie puss before.
Well, apparently the Carvels are out on the East Coast and not the West Coast, so you're more likely to have it than I am.
I've never seen a Carvel's in my life, which is weird.
Have ice cream cakes in supermarkets, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
But
anyways,
Yeah.
great show. If you haven't watched it, then get that shit together.
also, I think Maurice LaMarche does an amazing job as Orson Welles in the show.
Yeah.
I just want to say, well, every time they make fun of Orson Welles is like the best part of an episode.
I don't even know if he was alive during that time.
No, Orson Welles was dead by that point. Because they even make a joke about it because he's supposed to go to a commercial shoot for frozen fish sticks.
Yeah, he died at 85.
Yeah, he like the Transformers movie was like his last role, and that was like right before he died. But yeah, so he comes back as a ghost eating fish sticks.
There you go.
He's like, oh yes, they're better when you're dead.
Damn. I saw him do the frozen peas thing in real life.
Oh, Maurice LaMarche.
Yeah. It's for the Futurama thing. Someone asked him to, and he knew it. He knew that.
Well, I mean, Maurice LaMarche was Brain on Pinky the Brain, and that voice was, basically Orson Welles. So I mean, he's very adept at playing that character.
Yeah.
And honestly, for this show, I mean, for the celebrity cameos that I did understand, I think they did a pretty good job lampooning it. It's a little more accurate than, like, say how South Park does, where they kind of really generalize a celebrity. I think the Critic kind of got more into specifics with, like, actually trying to match the voice a little bit.
Pacifics.
The Pacific Oceans. Specifics Oceans.
It's sad. It's sad that they didn't bring this show back, but I'm happy that they didn't.
Yeah, like, if they were going to bring this back, they should have brought it back 20 years ago. I don't want them to bring it back now.
No, it wouldn't make sense in this year's context.
Yeah, and, like, I honestly just feel like filmmaking was simpler back then, so seeing Jay Sherman trying to comment on the modern day movies, like the fucking Marvel movies, or any number of big blockbuster movies that are out now, I just feel it'd just be kind of wrong. And then the obvious route they would take to try to just comment on modern technology and the state of the world now. I just think it wouldn't be in the spirit of the show. So
Nope.
So it's sad that I got canceled, but I think for the 20 some odd episodes that they did make, I think are all really solid. I honestly can't think of an episode that I don't like, that I don't laugh at repeatedly. And honestly, I think every time I rewatch the series, I find a new joke that I find funny. Whether it's like a joke I didn't catch the first time or a background joke. So yeah. The Critic is a solid show, and if you haven't given it a chance before, please do so. I think obviously, watching it now is not going to bring it back, but I don't know. I think most people would get a kick out of it, whether you're like a film buff or not. It's a pretty good situational comedy, pretty good animated sitcom. So if that's your up your alley, then if you haven't watched The Critic before, go do that.
It's all on YouTube.
It is all on YouTube, but maybe buy the DVD if you have a couple bucks to spare.
Like $7 on eBay.
Yeah, exactly. You got $7. Everyone's got $7. Most people have $7.
I sure as hell don't right now.
I have about $7, so I could buy one, but I already have it. So. Yeah. So Kyle, is there anything else you want to say about The Critic?
No. It's too good.
Do you want to make a declaration of love to John Lovitz?
I would. If he was on the show right now, I would be so happy.
Oh.
But he's not, so.
Oh. Judd Apatow actually wrote an episode.
Which one?
The one where Jay runs a marathon.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently Judd Apatow wrote that one. So that's cool.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. That's a good one. And then I feel like there's an episode of Scrubs that is pretty much the same one. There's I don't know. In the sense that he runs a race and almost dies doing it. So I don't know. So lots of good stuff. We wouldn't spoil the whole thing for you, so go watch The Critic. It's a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you, too good for it?
No one's too good for The Critic. Because it doesn't stink. I mean, am I right? Aw.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, so that's all we got for this week. We're going to be talking about another old TV show next week, so be sure to tune into that. But until then, we'll catch you all next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.